Politics for the Unpolitical. Where and how did politics start? What is politics really? Politics can be found in records throughout recorded human history. Wildlife on planet Earth establishes the fundamental principles from which all political structures are formed. Territory and claim to territory resources are the two fundamental concepts which all political structures establish before any further development. Wildlife understands dominance between species as the first political rule in the wild system. This dominance is proven whenever challenged through a fight to the death or near death between wildlife whenever there is a conflict. Developing upon the first rule of species dominance is group dominance, the second rule of the food chain for wildlife species. When a group of weaker species establishes dominance against a stronger species as an individual, the weaker species is successful in establishing territory for the group. Once territory is established and consistently defended, resource allocation within that territory is possible by the group which is defending the territory. As success from weaker species became a threat to stronger species joined in the practice of grouping and defending territory in groups out of necessity for survival. Once the groups of species began forming consistently, the food chain was re-established just as it had been before groups of species were formed. Groups of the same species began to battle for territory within species, and the size of the group began to become a determining factor in the outcome of conflicts. However, if both groups involved in a conflict of territory had a similar or even a formidable number of members, the outcome of the battle threatened the entire group and was not as certain, even with an advantage in numbers. In cases where the groups were in conflict, and if neither group could be intimidated, a battle would occur and the strongest would survive to form the group which would rule the territory, if any survived at all. In cases where both groups were intimidated, and neither wished to fight to the death to gain the territory, a balance of power was formed. The balance of power is the fundamental requirement for political negotiation known as diplomacy. Without the balance of power, war is completed to determine the control of territory. The balance of power is key to any peaceful way of life through time. With the balance of power in place, the territory is split to the satisfaction of both groups, and boundaries are respected to prevent war between neighbors. Once territory is established by any group, the group begins to set up development policy of the group within territory. In the wildlife example, this is largely who eats, mates, hunts, and protects. Within human historical examples, the wars and territory establishments did not slow down globally until the atomic bomb was dropped, and the devastation witnessed by the leadership of each country. Human politics extends upon the framework of wildlife politics, assuming core concepts of territory and resource management. From the wildlife example, establishing territory and resource management as fundamental unchangeable constants in any political structure in any time and likely on any planet. Development policy within the group, which has established territory through war or a balance of power arrangement with neighbors, it is what is called a government. The outcome of development of the group should be used as a means to measure the success of the development policy, also known as the government. The fundamental constant of territory needs to remain for the development policy to have any effect. If the balance of power is broken between neighboring countries or does not deter global adversaries, there is no development policy which can remedy this. Immediately, the fundamental constants will need to be restored to have any development policy in effect. Representatives within the group which define the development policy and enforce this policy is what a government is. Politicians are members of the group who provide requests for policy change, negotiate, and update the system of development policy, which is the government. The skill set to effectively execute the functions of politics include warlord strategy, system design engineering, exceptional communication, exceptional negotiation and contracting, personal relationship management, auditing and data analysis, general to advanced understanding of architecture, materials, and supply chains, rules systems and enforcement systems, technology and life science, health and wellness of the individual, human technology. Political structures of any type currently in existence can be audited by simply reviewing the condition of the common member of the group, which the development policy is there to support, or the greatest individual amongst the group. The current global political environment has maintained stability out of fear of the atomic bomb, which has helped keep the balance of power between individual countries. However, by no means has this era been peaceful. The war has evolved from a violent one and matured into a passive-aggressive one, where the same goal of territory and resource management, acquisition, and expanse remains, but it is not acquired through war of active force in most cases. Individual countries have teamed up to break the balance of power in this time period in their favor, and have begun influencing people and training them to influence others. Warnings to stop this violation of the balance of power have not been taken seriously by countries which have grouped together to encroach on their neighbors' territory. As a result, the balance of power is broken and will need to be reestablished. The method or reestablishment will either be passive-aggressive or war. Both options are currently available and will soon come into focus as attempts are made to reestablish the balance of power. If it can be done passively, this will occur. If not, war will occur, which will be the greatest devastation humans have witnessed in a very long time. It is important to remember that the moments of severe weakness of humans as a species could give rise to the animals. The animals could become a threat. If any other animal sees the opportunity to end the human dominance, it will do so. The balance of power needs to be reestablished amongst countries, and a fair competition which enhances the human being individually must be used to gain advantage over other territories. Unions should only be allowed to be formed out of unambiguous necessity of threat or collaboration for the advancement of the human being. Current 2022 U.S. political strategy is a fear-based approach. In weakness, all strong become a threat, which creates an unstoppable desire for destruction of human advancement. And the greater the weakness of our leaders, the more the surrounding environment becomes adversarial. The strongest of the group need to lead the group without fear of advancements, so more advancements can be completed. These advancements are humanity's ticket through time. Once the weak become fearful, they will destroy until their fear has left them, which will set all advancements beyond the weakest member as targets for destruction. Either the weak must be removed from leadership, or the advancements of humanity be destroyed. All advancements of humanity are contained within the life of the strong members of the group. Group development policy must be set and updated by the strongest in the group for the group to maintain productivity through time.